Now, when should be the first board meeting? The soon as you start with your commencement, right, has to be held within the first 30 days. There is no requirement for a private company to hold an AGM. Statutory is the first and the foremost meeting. Whenever the company is registered and it is ready to commence, they go for statutory meeting. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Abhilash from the Department of Commerce and Management in Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to all the students. Now we are in the next session of meeting. Now I'll be explaining you what exactly happens in the meeting. So the first one here is board meeting. Students, from the first chapter to the fourth chapter, we have covered the entire thing about the meetings also. That is how the meeting happens, when it happens, why it happens. So in this chapter, it is just the repetition of all the first chapter to the fourth chapter. So if you go with a baby steps like slow and steady win the race, this is what the board of meeting is for you. And while explaining it to you, you will get to know that yes, we have already come across all these topics. So it may sound repeated, but focus more on what exactly you can learn from it. So here the first one is the board meeting. Now we know that the board of directors, they are the supremo. So they are the supreme. And whenever they feel like actually calling for a meeting, they can actually go with it. So the board meeting starts like this. The board of directors is a supreme authority in a company, and they have the power to take all major actions and decisions for the company. The board is also responsible for managing the affairs of the whole company. So that means what? This is, see, when I'm explaining you about this, you will get to know that yes, we have already heard about this, right? So this is what it is. Whatever we have studied from the first chapter to the fourth chapter, now it is just the repetition and you will get what exactly the meeting is all about. So for the effective functions and management, it is imperative that the board meeting be held at frequent intervals. So just to make the company to know about what is the new thing, just to actually go for any changes, or to have a very good balanced management, or to go with expansion and growth. So what happens is we always call for a board meeting. That is, the directors will be there and they'll discuss what exactly to be done after and before. For this, Section 173 of the Companies Act 2013 provides board meetings. So which section? Section 173. So of Companies Act 2013 provides you to actually go for a board meeting. In the case of a public company, now understand the public limited company. What exactly happens here? When we go with public limited company here, students, the first board meeting, understand this, the first board meeting. Now, when should be the first board meeting? The soon as you start with your commencement, right, has to be held within the first 30 days. Within the first 30 days since the incorporation date is given. Or additionally, a minimum of 4 board meetings. 4 board meetings must be held in a span of 1 year. So you can actually divide that. Like usually people, what they do is they go with quarterly. So every 3 months they'll actually have 1 board meeting. So the entire 1 year, how many board meetings will happen? 4. So minimum criteria is what you are supposed to have, 4 board meetings. And there are people who actually go with more board meetings only because they need to strategize, they need to go for a policy, they need to go with procedure, they need to set the objectives. It can be the short objectives, the medium or the long term goals. So why board meeting happens? It's one of the reason is what? The section 173 is there, and it gives you a authority to actually go for a board meeting. Apart from that, what happens is, again in the 2013 Companies Act, they say that minimum, how many? 4 board meetings. How many meetings you should have? 4 board meetings in a year. In a year, you are supposed to conduct. So it can be like within 3 months, you will actually go with 1 board meeting, or you go with any other kind of a thing. Now what happens here is, also there cannot be a gap of more than 120 days. Understand this. There cannot be a gap of more than 120 days between two. That means when we go with any of those two meetings, 120 days, the gap should not be there. It should be less than 120 days, but not more than 120 days. If you understand this, what happens is, say, the first meeting you would have taken in the month of, if say from January if you are starting, or if you are starting from the March. Now it is up to you how you will start calculating. So when you go with this 1 year concept, it is when the incorporation actually happens, and then you are supposed to go with it. So this 1 year concept is not about from January to the next January. It is like you would have started or incorporated in the month of October. So when you start from then, it was October to the next October is 1 year. That is how you are supposed to calculate. Next is general meeting. So this general meeting also have covered this portion in the chapter 3 and the chapter 4. Now company law solutions, right, can advise as to procedures of general meeting and provide all necessary documents and forms. Now what happens in the general meeting is, firstly, annual general meeting will actually happen. Second, you have extraordinary, now EGM. Now you have already studied this EGM in the chapter 4. Procedure, model, articles, provisions on general meeting also we have actually gone with it. That is how the article will actually give the provisions for the general meeting. And last one is the table A. When we understand table A, it is all about article of association. Provision on general meeting is also we have seen. Now here what happens is, a general meeting is a meeting of company's shareholder. It's a meetings shareholders, unlike a board meeting, which is meeting of the directors. Companies Act 2006, that is the part 13, comprising 80 sections. That is the section is the 80, provides the statutory framework for calling and conducting the general meeting. So yes, we need to do it. The 2006 Companies Act actually says that in the section 80 that you are supposed to call the shareholders and conduct the general meeting. Now why the general meeting is actually conducted? To tell the shareholders that what is that their plan, how exactly they're gonna go with the dividend, how exactly the profit is, and what are the things what they are doing is, and the new thing whatever the shareholders should actually know. All these will be discussed in the general meeting, where the company secretary is there, the board of directors are there, and if there is any proxy, they are supposed to take permission prior, and then they'll go with general meeting. Now types of meeting. Now I'll be giving you a few of the types of meeting. The first type of meeting is AGM, that is annual general meeting, AGM. Now understand this AGM here. There is no requirement for a private company to hold an AGM. Now this private companies are there, they don't need to hold any of these AGMs. But what happens? It depends on them. It depends on their articles. If they have drafted it, then they are supposed to do it. If they don't draft it, they will not do it. But many people, they actually go with this because just to be very transparent, just to have that faith from the public. In the sense, when I say public, in the sense the people who have invested on their shares, that is the private people. Now here what happens is, there is no requirement for a private company to hold an AGM, though some companies articles, now table A is what it is, right? Article drafted when there was a statutory requirement to hold an AGM will still provide for one to be held. Now they'll go with this if the article is drafted. Now in such cases, the company must continue to comply with its articles until they are amended. Now if they don't want to, they are supposed to go, and I told you about the procedure of alteration of article of association, they are supposed to go with that. There is nothing to stop a company to hold an AGM even if it is not required to do so. Now if say supposedly they are not supposed to do so, but still they can conduct, yes, they really can conduct. Nobody can actually tell them that they are not supposed to do it. The usual business of an AGM is to receive the annual account and director's report. Now, whatever happens there is the annual requirement, whatever is that particular year, and then the directors. That is what they'll actually discuss, what exactly to be done, how the plan should be taken, how the dividends, all those things will actually be there, where shareholders are there and you are supposed to report each and everything. And the company secretary is there, he'll actually write the minute books and then he should actually draft it and give it before 30 days. One more is extraordinary. Now this is called EGM, Extraordinary General Meeting. When I went with this alteration and all, we have actually seen EGM, where they actually go for it. For every special resolution to be passed, you are supposed to go with EGM, or whenever there is any kind of an emergency, you will actually call this EGM. Now, an extraordinary general meeting, that is EGM, is any meeting other than annual general meeting. That is, you can actually call them immediately whenever you want it. The directors may call general meeting when they wish and must call a meeting of members holding 1/10 of the voting shares or 1/10 of the voting rights. Now what happens is, anybody, right, when I say voting shares, in the sense, a person who has a shares, that is a equity shareholder, that person will have the voting shares. And then the voting right is given to people who are the equity shareholders. There are few more people whom actually they give the voting rights, even they can actually come. If the directors do not call a meeting when so required, the members can call on themselves. If the directors, they don't actually call, then the members can only call and they can settle the things. If all else fails, the court can call a meeting. Say example, the board of directors, they did not call for some reason. The shareholders, they also did not go for it. Now what happens is, the court, the High Court, the Supreme Court, they can actually go for this and they can actually call for a meeting. So these are the things which you should know. The third one is the statutory meeting. Now statutory is the first and the foremost meeting. Whenever the company is registered and it is ready to commence, they go for statutory meeting. Now it is the first meeting. Statutory meeting is what? It's the first meeting of the shareholder of a public company having share capital. What is the criteria here? That is having share capital and is held once in a lifetime of a company. See, when I'm telling you about statutory meeting, you already know that. Yes, in the fourth chapter we have already done it. Please go to the fourth chapter. Watch the fourth chapter where I have given you statutory meeting, like properly everything is given there. A private limited company and a company limited by guarantee not having share capital need to hold a statutory meeting. Statutory meeting must be held within a period of not less than 1 month and not more than 6 months after the date on which it is authorized to commence its business. So what is the criteria here? That is, you are not supposed, not less than 1 month, not less than 1 month, and not more than 6 months, not less than 1 month, not less than 1 month, and not more than 6 months. So this is the criteria. They can have statutory meeting, and statutory meeting is held once in the lifetime of a company. So this is what the statutory meeting is all about. Now I've told you about the meeting, how the meeting happens, and what are the types of meeting. The procedure for the meeting is also given in the first session. Please do watch both the sessions 1 and 2, and any doubt you have regarding this, please do call us. We are there to help you. Now when we go with the next one here, please understand, this is called post-meeting formalities. What is this post-meeting? Now meeting is all done. What is next? The post-meeting is, now all formal meeting, whatever the meeting is, all formal meeting of the association must be properly convened and in accordance with the association's rule. Whatever it is, you are supposed to abide by the rules and then you are supposed to go for it. Now all members must notify. What is that they are supposed to notify? First one is what type of meeting is being held. That is the first one. Everybody should know that what the meeting is all about, why we are conducting the meeting, all that you are supposed to tell. Now here what happens is you need to tell them the place, the date, time, and where exactly you are doing it. Thirdly, the business to be considered at the meeting. Now, what is the agenda of the meeting? You already know. So, what all will happen in the meeting also? In the meanwhile, you are supposed to tell them in the nutshell, including the full text of all the motions that will be put to the members at the meeting. That means what? Transparency should be maintained. Each and everything should be actually to be brought to the notice of the members. When the meeting has commenced, it is important to first establish that there is a quorum. Now, I have explained you what exactly quorum is, and in quorum what all happens, you are supposed to know that. Please watch the sessions in that the chapter 3rd is there, and you are supposed to know what is quorum there. To satisfy the requirement in the association's rules. Now, everything, right, that is when the meeting has commenced, it is important to first establish the quorum, and it is very, very important, and in the association's rule also it is actually given. So these are the things which you are supposed to know, and the company should also follow each and every step properly, from the what is the type of meeting to the quorum. You are supposed to know completely and tell the members also transparently, and then they should also know each and everything whatever happens in a meeting. Now, any doubt regarding this session, please do call us. We are always there to help you. Thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.